Hi guys, here with Gary and David from Black Cat Revue. Thanks guys, thanks very much for being here. Hope you're well.
Thanks for having us, Gavin.
Yeah, first of all, guys, can you just give us a bit of a background about Black Cat Revue?
We first started playing together, would have been around about kind of 2014, no, it was summer 2014. We kind of mutual friends, we'd known each other for about a year, kind of circling each other, knowing we had similar interests and stuff before we actually kind of got together with the guitars and started kind of playing. So once we'd done that, it was about a year of just kind of sitting in kitchens, doing covers, doing ideas with each other, kind of all this, without really knowing if it was ever going to leave the kitchen. David was already playing with another band at the time. I wasn't playing with MD, so it was a nice social thing that was sort of slowly kind of gathered more and more momentum as we kind of started to write more songs together and found other musicians who were willing to play those songs with us and stuff. So kind of after about a year, we kind of got to the point where it was time to kind of either shit or go off the pot. So we decided to kind of start booking gigs and go for there. And that was in March 2015, and we've not really never really stopped since then. Always been busy.
How many releases have you had since then, really?
Release wise, not many. That's like we done the single in 2017, and then we kind of had, it was 2 consecutive summers after that. It was like summer 2017, our previous drummer left. So then we had to bring in a new drummer, and we spent 6 months, 8 months getting a new drummer kind of acclimatized and learned all the songs and everything we had. And then just as we were kind of hitting our stride then, with the 4 of us, our bass player left. So then we had to go back to that spot of bringing the bass player, get a new bass player in, and another couple of months of him learning all the songs and stuff. So it was there was that 2 years where we really should have been recording, but we didn't get anything done. And it had been about 2 years ago. Tony, our bass player, had only been in a few months, and we kind of thought, we really need to push forward and record something here, otherwise we're going to get left behind, really. So.
And is that the 4 of you that've been in the band for the last few years now?
Aye, it's kind of really gelled as a group. I feel in the last kind of year or so, kind of really got really well playing off each other, and a lot of trust. Before there was a wee bit of trust issues in the rhythm section and stuff, where you maybe were a wee bit scared of kind of how this bit of that song might go, or whatever it may be. But we've now kind of get that kind of trust where we know those 2 guys that are playing bass and drums, they're absolutely kind of rock solid, and it's usually up to me and David to kind of mess about and fuck up and stuff like that.
I think like the current formation of the band's probably like we've developed through every kind of formation of it. And I think like each time somebody new's been in or somebody else has left, or we've had one of these kind of wee hiccups going through, once the band gets back on, like all reading off the same hymn sheet, it always just sounds a wee bit different, a wee bit better, and just kind of been nice developing. So like you say, having this kind of set band now for a wee bit of time, we've been able to, really hone into the kind of stuff we're trying to do. And it's allowed us for recording and stuff really to get a clearer picture of the blueprint of each song that we're wanting to do, because we've had so much time, the 4 of us doing it. So I think now this formation of the band, it's definitely kind of gelled in, and like Gary said, it's all settled in together nicely now. So I feel pretty lucky that we're playing with the people we play with and are able to do the kind of stuff we're doing with the band.
How have things been over the last year for you guys as a band? Have you been able to sort of practice and rehearse?
Rehearsal-wise, it's not been too doable, really, just with having so many people in a room and stuff. But we were lucky that throughout the last year, we managed to kind of secure ourselves a private rehearsal space that can kind of double up as a wee studio that we share with a few other bands. So we've all taken turns being able to go in and do certain bits of recording and kind of each chip away at our own parts and do stuff like that. But I think, speak for the full band, is we really miss just standing about playing the tunes together. But we've definitely been blessed that we have our own space to be able to go in and kind of still get to work throughout coronavirus, even though it's not really what we would normally have as a band, but it's still something for us. And again, with Tony joining, Tony's a dab hand at doing all the recording, and that's kind of, he seems to enjoy that as much as he does playing music, so that's just such a bonus for the band. So he's always wanting to do recordings and getting stuff sent to him and putting stuff together for us. So we've been quite busy throughout the past year.
No, it was just the first maybe March to August, there was just nothing. nothing. We didn't know when we would even get a rehearsal to get together again, never mind gigs or anything like that. The four of us hadn't been in their rooms together since March. So there was a wee kind of, I wasn't doubting we'd ever get back together in the same room again, but there definitely was kind of, didn't know how long it would be. And then it was the end of the summer, we kind of came into this arrangement with the rehearsal room. And since then, we've been really kind of quite productive in terms of kind of getting our house in order, figuring out which songs are going to go on which releases, and finishing songs that have been sitting on the back burner, and just good not focusing on being a live band, because I kind of, we've fell into that trap a few times before where, because we used to play live a lot, we were always in that kind of idea of like, well, we need to go back, tighten up the set list and maybe get a new song in at some point. And it's good to just be able to step back from that and just focus on new songs, and without the worry of we need to have 40 minutes that's really good for a week on Wednesday or something like that. So.
Cool. So would you say that like lockdown has had like quite an impact on your sort of your songwriting?
Positively, I think so. I don't know if I've had a run as prolific as I had the last 8 or 9 months, but at the same time, it's not really influenced. I haven't wrote any kind of, I don't know about David, but I've certainly not wrote any like lockdown blues or anything like that. You know? But it's just been good. It's provided the space and the time to kind of go back into some older ideas, discover new ideas and things like that, which is, I think, said this before, we'll really kind of probably not miss it, but I think we'll look back fondly on that wee period of time we had to kind of step back from being a live band and just focus on the music rather than kind of the whole thing.
You're re-releasing Fortune Favours The Strange. I just wonder if you could let us know about the EP and that re-release.
Coming back out via Mint400 Records, which is pretty cool. We released that right before shit really hit the fan last year. I think our launch was on the 29th of February. And then within the next couple of weeks, the whole country was locked down again. So like, we didn't really get a chance to run out the EP. And, you know, like Gary was saying, we play regularly. We play live regularly at that period, and we were doing quite a lot of gigs, and it would have been good to get a wee run of playing it. So the opportunity now to be able to put it back out on a kind of different format for more people to hear, predominantly obviously going to be over in East Coast of America listening to it, and that's where they'll be doing their bit. And it's just a really exciting opportunity to be able to put something out. And luckily we had already recorded it, but even the space and time that we've had since releasing it, made some nice changes to it, just in terms of like the sound of it. Nothing actually re-recorded, but just, you know, kind of polished over it again and gave it that kind of, not a remaster, but that same kind of going over it with a fine tooth comb, making sure we're 100% happy with it. So it's just an exciting period to be able to get it back out. It was a great wee period for us writing wise. I think speak for Gary as well. There's some songs on that we really enjoyed playing live. I think that was, those kind of batch of songs fit our live kind of shows really well. It was a good mirror image between the EP and the band. So having them recorded and put out there again is a really cool opportunity for us, especially doing it through Mint400.
Cool. And is it coming out on a physical release, or is it just digital?
We're doing CDs, aren't we? We're going to do, it's not feasible for us to put, you know, a few people get in touch about putting out on vinyl, and it's like financially not really feasible for us at the moment. But we were going to do a limited run of CDs and just kind of gauge it from there. And if this demand's there, we'll supply it, do you know what I mean? But we'll call that one by ear, because kind of physical media kind of, we're a wee bit, if it's not in vinyl, I'm not really bothered in doing it. I see a lot of kind of kick, like upstart and kind of labels and stuff that do cassette tapes and stuff, and I'm not fucking doing anything like that. It has to be in vinyl, and if it's not in vinyl, then we'll do some limited CDs and kind of go from there. But hopefully we'll get, maybe not the next EP, but the album will be on record or something, hopefully.
Definitely a plan. I mean, it's like we're playing for a long time, and it's always been something Gary always said it would be really cool if we could get one of our recordings onto records, get onto vinyl and have that kind of in our collections. But at the moment where we're at, I think it's just, we're still kind of building ourselves up to that point. Like Gary says, there's a kind of financial burden that goes across with doing that when you're just doing it independently by yourselves as a band. But also, it's just want to make sure that the right songs go on it for the pressing of something like that, and building towards all that. So more physical releases is something we're looking to do, partly in 2021 and maybe through into 2022. But the CDs will be available if people do want to get them. Just kind of those links throughout the social medias, or hit up the band members and just let them know, and we can kind of
got those links out this week, I think.
Aye, no record for this re-release or potentially the next EP, but we'll wait and see what comes in the next year or two.
Cool. Yeah, I think well, a few bands have said that just that vinyl is so expensive, and a lot of them it's like 150 or 250 copies that you need to like commit to up front. So it's can be like quite a bit of cash. Yeah. So I think I've not looked into it like too much in depth, but I did mention to another group that Bandcamp are doing something now where I think it's still a couple of hundred copies, but the your fans pay in advance, so you're not sort of dishing out all the cash.
Oh,
so
that could be quite interesting, actually.
I think it's just sort of been started, so I don't know how good it is, but might be something that's worth looking into.
Well looking into, yeah, definitely.
And yeah, well, you guys mentioned that you've played live quite a lot. Do you have any sort of top moments from any live gigs or any gigs that are most memorable?
Little known fact, going to take the good story here down. Little known fact, we've supported The Fall for Marky Smith's final gig. He never played any more shows after that night, and that was a bit of a roller coaster couple of days, because it was something we weren't planning on. We weren't planning going to the gig or anything. I think it was on the Wednesday. We got an email saying, "Do you want to support The Fall on Saturday?" And it was like, well, it was a no-brainer. I replied to it yes before I'd even spoke to the rest of the guys. So we didn't have time for a rehearsal. We just kind of go in there, and it was just, we didn't even get a sound check that night either. We were kind of rushed in and rushed on, and The Fall took all night, all afternoon sound checking, and then the other support band took their time, so we didn't get any sound check, and it felt like we were outside just before the doors opened, and the queue was away up the hill for the QMU all the way up, and we get in and they kind of rushed us on stage, and we're still setting up our pedals, and the guy, remember the kind of stage manager, whoever it was, he came up and he started mouthing off a bit, and he's basically saying, right, the doors are open and fucking tough kind of thing. So we're fumbling about trying to get ourselves all plugged in and stuff, and got up and started the first song, and there was about 10 people there at the barrier, and then kind of got through the first song and kind of looked up, get a gasp of air, and there was 600 people stood at the barrier. it was a bit of a shock to the system kind of thing. But that was really cool. A number of reasons, obviously, the Fall are kind of legendary band. Marky Smith's a legendary character in music. To play in the QMU was really cool as well. Nirvana played in there back in the day. Might have been the only place they played in Scotland. So like there was for a number of reasons it ticked a lot of boxes, and it definitely wasn't the best we've ever played. But it was enough for where we were on the bill and stuff. But that's one of my favourites, definitely. You wonder?
That's definitely up there with like the band highlights, and personal highlights would have been that as well. But on our front, just the first time as a band we got to go and play outside of Scotland was really cool. We've been to play London and Manchester, and anytime you get to go away with a band and do stuff like that, it's always great. So not for any specific reason that there was an event that happened there or it was a certain gig. I mean, it was just great to go away travelling and playing with the guys. And so I'd say that's probably something to like as a focus to try and do more of as and when the shitstorm settles down a bit and the country can allow it. But I'd say that was probably for me a big high point of the band, is being able to go and play places where you really don't know the people at all, but have maybe heard of you from online, and then you kind of get a chance to get, you know, the wee night out down there, get the gig, meet the people, see the city, and then you've done it with a band, and it's almost a kind of working holiday. So stuff like that I've put as my highlights, along with, you know, sharing the QMU stage with Marky Smith and all of that. That was just a great night. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of great moments. The band supported a lot of other bands that we've been really lucky to do so. Played with the Night Beats and a few other bands that are maybe more within our kind of age group and within our time, but are direct peers. And it's really cool to play with bands like that and really see how they set up and how they play and how they put on a show. So, you know, all those kind of things have been great as well.
And did you do a tour of the UK, or have these just been individual shows?
Well, we just picked up a few individual slots and kind of worked them into what we were doing. We've always tried to do it so that we are maybe playing a couple of gigs locally about that time as well. Maybe have one in Glasgow or Edinburgh and then one down in London, or if it's Manchester we're going or whatever. But again, we're still trying to build up enough of a maybe knowledge and a bit of following into being able to just get a few nights. And again, logistically speaking, we all work full time outside of this. So for us all to have the time off to be able to go in one vehicle and go and do that wee kind of thing, it just takes a bit of planning. But it's definitely in the future to be able to put a few dates together. But currently, mate, we've only played individual dates and then came back up the road.
Yeah, you've touched on a couple of things, but I'm just wondering what the plans are for the rest of this year.
We're currently about maybe 70% into recording our next EP. The Ballad of Django and Fuzz it'll be called, probably, unless something changes before then. But we started recording that just after Christmas, and we've kind of been hammering away at it once a week at least, usually, at least one night a week, getting some parts done. And we're coming to the point, and now we're getting towards the end of the kind of recording all the instruments and stuff. The idea will be kind of get the vocals and the keys and the rest of the stuff done, and we'd hopefully, because this current EP is a re-release, we're quite conscious of that this is something we've already put out a year ago that's coming back out. We're quite conscious of that, and we'd like to have quite hope. So with a bit of luck, we'll have a second EP out in the summer at some point, July, August latest, hopefully. And then after that, we're really at the mercy of whatever happens, because if we're allowed to play shows again, then it'd be cool to get a couple of shows, whether we come down south to London or Liverpool or Manchester, go over to Belfast again. It'd be good to kind of get some shows under our belt if feasible. But if that's not going to happen, then once again, come back to having all this time. We're fortunate enough now, we're sitting with a big body of songs that that'll be our first album. So we could start recording that later this year, or we could start playing live again. It kind of, it's all up in the air, but it's nice to have the options, which is kind of some things some other bands might not have, really.
Definitely think it's fingers crossed for gigs coming back at some point, and hopefully by the end of this year. So I guess we'll need to see. Well, yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking to me today, guys. That was David and Gary from Black Cat Revue. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us again, Carl. Cheers, man.
All the best, mate.
Cheers.
See you later, man.